Hi everyone, welcome back to our Joseki series. I'm Ryan, and today I will bring you 3 to 4 dan 3/4 Josekis. We'll start with 3/4 points and low approach. For the one space low pincer, we talked about how some variations where white makes the knight's move. If white jumps, then black plays the knight's move. This is a good way to expand over on the side. Keep in mind that when black plays the knight's move, it's bad for white to push because it's helping black make territory on the 4th line. So instead, white plays here. And this high pincer is sort of like a natural way of pushing black towards this side. And after doing so, white can attach on this side and then hane. So black plays the hane, white extends, then black plays the kosumi. White prevents black from connecting, and black plays the tiger's mouth. Now white has a choice of pincering here, but I think it's more common for white to extend here because this stone is actually quite big, and here it's more or less settled. Now it will be a fight between these two stones in this white group, but obviously this white group is thicker, and black has more territory. You might notice that in pro games that farther pincers are more common. In the 2-space low pincer case, white plays the knight's move. The main difference between the low and high pincer is that for the knight's move, and you have the low pincer, it's not good for black to push and cut. And the reason for this is when black extends, there's an obvious weakness here. So later when white plays the knight's move, and this shape gets stronger, then this is an immediate weakness that black does not have time to defend. So if it's not a good idea to push and cut, then we extend. White extends, and then black jumps. And now white attaches into the corner, and this shape, locally, you might see in some books that black connects and extends over on this side. But why is that? Let's take a look. So, can black push through? Then white blocks, and black ataris here. This is again a laddered dependent situation. So if white pushes and cuts, black has to connect back due to the weakness, and white plays here. So if white can ladder this, then generally this is not an ideal result for black. So if white doesn't have the ladder, then white would extend. And black cannot capture that because here this weakness is more severe. So then white ataris captures, and black extends this way. So this will end up in a fight, and white already benefited in the corner, so white would have to settle the center so it doesn't get attacked severely. But in both results, it's not ideal for black unless in special cases. So, what about the 2-space high pincer? So before we talked about one variation, one or two variations with the 2-space jump. You might notice that the 2-space jump is very far, so actually black can attach, and when white hanes here, black can pull back, and then white could jump. So if white extends, then after this cut, then white would have to play the tiger's mouth. So jumping is slightly better shape because black cannot hane this way anyway. So black would still have to cut. And now when white extends, this local shape is much better. So then white could extend here, and then black would come over to try to develop on this side. This is a less common result from black because white's shape is so good. And this stone still has a lot of agi to use in the future there. So how about the really far pincers, you might ask? What is the purpose of the really far pincers then? And why do we play them? So a simple answer is that the really far pincers is mostly to actually, it's more of an extension. You can view it that way rather than a pincer. So sometimes you even see a four space. But so it's more of an extension to expand elsewhere. And not totally ignoring that stone on there, so that we're still putting a decent amount of pressure on the approaching stone. So for a three space low or high pincer, so let's, for example, just look at the low one. And so here I've set up another possible game where black does 2 3/4 and makes the large knight's enclosure. And then white presses this down. So in this case, when black jumping is still joseki, and white would attach again. So in this case, black would extend up for this joseki, but then again, this is not ideal in this case, likely, because black is facing a white stone. So when white descends here, it finishes the joseki, but then this influence is not so useful right now. So then we think, oh, maybe we want to protect that in the corner then. So let us see, what if we extend one more? This is a very special case because usually when we extend one more, it's very good for white on the outside, so white is not weak anymore. But in this case, it's possible, since the stone is far away, far enough so that it's difficult for white to attack. So this is again another variation that's where white has some thickness, so white would invade and it will become a fight. I want to take note that when white attaches, it is important for black not to push through again. And it's the correct response for black is to hane. In a professional game, this was one of the results. So white played this and pushed through and made black the 3 stones very short on liberty. So now, if black wants to protect both cuts on either side, black has to actually go in the center, which is not a very efficient move. So actually in the game, black just responded by protecting this stone. So when white cuts on one side and benefits on one side, then white would lose the potential benefits on the other side. So this was a result from a pro game. But why is it that black has to respond by hane? So what happens when black pushes and cuts? If black pushes and cuts, then white could push and cut on this side. So now black absolutely has to connect on the outside, and then white extends. So if black keeps falling for the trap by Atari, we can see that in the shape, black almost gets captured. So black captures, connects, and now white has a very nice tsuji, which is the knight's move. The only way for black to connect is the kasumi directly. And now white starts from the corner and then gets these two moves in sente. So actually now the only move for black is to connect, and then white comes out. So actually white lived in sente in the corner, which is obviously a very bad result for black. So keep that in mind. Do not push through when white attaches. So since we're on the topic of the three-space pincers, I would like to give a hint on potential taisha moves. And an interesting note is that actually this kosumi, according to AlphaGo, drops by quite a significant amount, something like 20 to 25%, which doesn't really mean anything to us, but nowadays you might see this less often. So the taisha is when black attaches out, and white could wedge, which then would end up in a fight, but actually white could hone this way. Because white has the ladder, when white extends, black cannot extend into the corner. As a result, black has to respond on the outside, then white goes into the corner, and then black plays the kosumi here. So now white has the option to play the sente to ensure that the corner is secure, and then play the tiger's mouth. So white could settle for some territory here, but black has a pretty strong outside this way. It's more common for white to play, or since there's a stone here, maybe it's not so common now to play something otherwise, but if there's no stone here, we could also have this taisha variation. So in that case then, white would not exchange the corner, and rather white would want this sente and leave for later and leave this black group unsettled. So just to clear, so this variation, this would be the end result here for the three-space low pincer. So here we have josekis for 3 to 4 dan players for the 3-4 and low approach. If you have any questions about today's joseki problems, leave us a comment below and go to our website. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and don't forget to subscribe below. I am Ryan Lee. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.